So come with me to Denali National Park. Alright, day 3 in Denali. Today we're taking the East Fork Transit Bus to get to mile 43 on the park road, which, if you remember, we can't go past mile 15 in our personal car due to the Pretty Rocks landslide. It's less like a shuttle bus and more like a scenic drive where we can ask our driver questions, but it's not a full tour. Pretty soon we stopped and spotted a caribou, and then continued on our drive with some more beautiful scenery. We passed mile 15, and then at one of our rest stops we actually saw a bear in the river walking around and swimming at one point, maybe struggling a little bit in the water. Once we were back on the road, it wasn't long before we saw another bear. This one was a lot closer, so we just took some time to pause and take some pictures. We had just stayed in the bus and rolled down the windows, so we looked at him through our binoculars. I try to keep my hands steady, I'm sorry. I totally get why that personal cars aren't allowed over here because the road is pretty narrow and unpaved. Obviously, we couldn't stop as much as we normally like to when we take in the scenery, but it was relaxing to just sit back, watch outside the window as we go into a more remote part of the park. We did also see some doll sheep on top of a mountain around here, but they were so far away they just looked like tiny white blobs, even in my binoculars. We saw another caribou on the mountain in the distance by itself, and I honestly thought it was a random statue at first because it was so frozen. Once again, this one was pretty far, so we had to use our binoculars. Typically, the Denali Park Road is about 90 miles long, but due to the landslide, the furthest we could go on the bus is to the East Fork Bridge at mile 43. Once we reached the bridge, we had some time to exit the bus and take in the braided river. If we wanted to hike around, we could catch a later shuttle back, and some people would even hike back along the road, but we just went back on the same bus we came on. I probably watched this little Arctic ground squirrel squeak for such a long time. I'm sure he's notifying the other squirrels that we were here, so I didn't want to bother him too much. After hopping back on the bus, we were hoping to see more wildlife, and it didn't take us very long. We got super lucky with this grizzly right off the side of the road. We probably spent about 10 or so minutes just watching this bear wander around and crunch on leaves. I could literally sit here for hours and watch this bear if the bus driver didn't have a schedule to keep. Even though the bear was pretty close, we took some shots of him through the binoculars. Okay, bye bear. Now we're continuing on. Basically on the drive back, we didn't see any more wildlife sadly, but no worries because the drive was still super pretty. Once we got back to the bus depot, we got ready for a short hike. We decided on the Horseshoe Lake Trail, which is located right next to the Denali Visitor Center. We had some great views of the reflection of the mountains and the lake. Part of the hike went along the Nenana River, which also provided a nice view of the Denali Park area and nearby cabins and hotels. Once we headed back from the river to the lake, we saw these 2 beaver dams and also admired how clear the water was. One more view of the lake and then continued on our loop to finish the hike. After that, we then did a quick hike closer to the Savage River area called Mountain Vista Trail. It's basically a nice and easy short walk to end our day that has some open views of the mountains. Someone stopped us when we were starting our hike as they were leaving and told us they saw a bear, so we were on edge, but we didn't see one. Unfortunately, Denali wasn't out, but still nice to get our legs moving. On our way back to the campsite, we pulled off the side of the road because we saw a bunch of people looking through their binoculars at something far away, and we saw an extremely distant wolf. It was so far away, and I'm sorry for the horrible binocular videos, but this officially completed our big 5 wildlife sightings in Denali.